أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May His peace and blessings be bestowed upon His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the one who fought tooth and nail for Islam to get to every corner of the world. I request Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bestow unto him His full blessings and mercy, and whoever is to follow his footsteps till the day of judgment. Allahumma ameen. Long time no see. I remember the last episode we had, if at all we were alive, last time we met. The question we had was, who is right? So before I introduce today's question, I would like to take you through a recap of what we discussed some time back. The first question, or maybe the first episode, was all about love as a foundation. We discussed that. The second episode was all about figuring out who you are. Yeah, and we go to a principle and we were like, if you don't have an answer to that question, you don't deserve someone's heart. And the third episode, we dedicated it to another question of saying who is right, because everyone is in need of a rightful partner and so on. So we discussed who is right. And the principle I remember there was, righteousness has nothing to do with religion alone. Just because someone is a practicing Muslim or Muslimah, they are fasting Mondays and Thursdays, they are good at saying Salaam Alaikum with all the huruf, that's not reason enough for them to be righteous. And so here we are today. And I want to dedicate today's episode, to another contemporary problem or maybe challenge we have as youths in line with our dating. How do we communicate as we are dating? How do you talk to your partner? Do you have some lovey-dovey statements you normally use? Or you think Islam doesn't have space for that? There are very many misconceptions, and at least today, inshallah, we're going to discuss that. I normally like to approach such ideas in a way before you get to marriage, and if at all you're clever enough as you're listening, or maybe if you're attentive enough, you're to reflect whatever we're discussing today into maybe what will happen as you get married, or maybe in your marriage, just in case you are. Communication during khitbah. Just for someone who has joined us today, the Islamic style of dating, I repeat this. If you're ready to say to someone that you love them, it's indirectly a proposal. You want to marry them, period. If a lady is like, I love you back, it's a direct acceptance. They're like, okay, I'm ready, you may marry me. That's a principle. So whatever we're going to discuss today in line with communication, at least that's the preamble now. You have to know that. It's in line with marriage, and it's in line with like fixing some of the barriers that might stop people to get to the marriage story. Factor number one, how can we make our communication effective between whoever you claim you love? Just because you love someone, is it reason enough to talk for 10 hours? If you're given a pen and paper to write down after the 10 hours of talking, do you have some points you can list down? What have you been discussing for 10 hours that is in line with what you're building? So that's why we are here today. The effective communication between people who have marriage in their minds, between people who are Islamically dating. Factor number one, just as in an introduction. Islam provides a direct and indirect way of showing interest to the one you're interested in, irrespective of gender. Equal rights. If a man is interested into a lady, Islam is like, this gentleman has a direct approach to get to this lady and to confess whatever he's feeling for her, just like he also has an indirect approach to get to the lady and try to confess the love they have for her. So the same rights a man has, they are the same rights a lady has. Just like you approach a lady, Islamically, Islam also allows a lady to approach a guy. Yes, maybe you're here and a lady is convinced that you can make a good husband, but you're not saying out anything. But then she's like using the right ways to approaching to you and then to confess the way they view you maybe in their world. So let's take note of that. But the key words here are the direct and indirect. So the direct approach is, that's very normal and very easy. The direct way is, you find someone, you go to them boldly and you're like, sister, how are you? I'm fine. You're looking nice today. Thank you. I think you can be for example, maybe a guy might say, maybe maybe a guy would be like, sister, you're resembling someone that can make a perfect wife as far as I'm concerned. What do you think? So the sister also says something. That's the direct way. Straight to the point. I want to marry you. I want to make a family with you. That's a direct approach. It's okay if you're part of that. But it's only for the brave. Because when someone is experienced, maybe they normalize it. It's very easy for someone to go to many girls and they're like, the same story. How are you? I feel like I love you. How are you? I feel like I love you. So it loses meaning. But you need to be brave to go in for the direct one. And there are very many companions that were in line with that. Direct. How are you? The features you're having, you're just fit to be my wife. Can you marry me? So the lady was like, come in and marry me. That's the direct approach. The indirect approach, just like the word itself, indirect approach. So this is an approach that is indirect, obviously. And you know the love story of Ali ibn Abi Talib when he was trying to date, communicate effectively with Fatima. When Fatima was now a teenager, the more Fatima used to grow old, the more beautiful she became. So many companions used to take the applications to the Prophet. They're like, Ya Rasulallah, we want to marry your daughter. Of course, anyone would like to be a son to the Prophet, to marry a daughter of the Prophet. But do you know what the Prophet used to do? He used to reject the applications. Not once, not twice. Reason being, Fatima was just part of the Prophet. And Prophet was just too keen and smart to consider whoever is going to give a hand in marriage to her daughter. So he used to reject. So one day Ali, as he was with other companions, they started encouraging Ali. They're like, yeah, Ali, for us we have tried and it has failed. What are you not seeing at the Prophet's house? Fatima is there. Give it a try. The narration states that they encouraged Ali, and Ali, and then he was like, let me go and now tell Fatima that I want to marry her. Let me go and tell the father, the Prophet, that I want to marry your daughter, Fatima. He marched straight to the Prophet. Prophet narrates that the way Ali entered the house, it was an aimful way. It's like he had something hot to say out. But as soon as he entered the house, as silent as Ali. He never said anything. And then the Prophet was like, "Yeah, Ali, what's wrong with you? I've just tried to assess the way you've entered. And it's like you're having some news to tell me. You're having something you want to request from me. Why are you silent?" Ali was just silent. The first time he was asked, silent. Second, silent. The third time, silent. Not until the Prophet was like, "Ka'annaka, Ali, what I'm trying to read is perhaps you want to marry my daughter, Fatima." Immediately as the Prophet said that, Ali was like, "Exactly. That's the reason as to why I'm here." Is that a direct or indirect approach? Of course, it's an indirect one. Yeah. Those men who are not having some nice lines, maybe they're not good at watching movies. They're not too vulgar, if I'm to say. And you're like, how are you going to do that? Come on, Ali is there. And Ali, immediately, Fatima was also interested. And of course, marriage happened. So that's an indirect approach. It's a very authentic example. An indirect approach, and it actually works. Yeah? It also happens with the Prophet. Don't you know the story of Khadija bint Khuwaylid with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Some of us normally turn out disrespecting Khadija and they're like, isn't it? No. It was an indirect approach. Because Khadija, as he was there, they tried to discuss about the Prophet with her friends. And then Maisara, a friend now to Khadija, Khadija was like, "But Maisara, you normally discuss and have conversations with the Prophet. Once in a while, mention my name as you're discussing. Talk about me when you're with the Prophet. Yeah, just indirectly. And Maisara was like, "Okay, it's okay. Deal. I'm going to talk about you." Indirectly, of course. So when Maisara went to the Prophet, he was in "How are you?" and everything, blah, 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 blah. And then he was like, "But you're now 25, you're getting to 26. Why don't you get someone to marry?" Then the Prophet was like, "That's another task now. But who am I going to marry, as you see around here? Who deserves me?" Then Maisara was like, "I'm not dictating, but I think Khadija is just nice for you. I don't know what you think, but just think about it." But of course, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was also interested in Khadija bint Khuwaylid. And that's what happened. When Maisara mentioned the Prophet, like Khadija, in front of the Prophet was like, "Okay, of course, let's make it happen." And then the parents now met, and then marriage went in place. Those are the results of the indirect approach. The world is driving us at a high speed. We are now trying to disrespect people who are sticking on these valuable values. Please, ladies, there are gentlemen who are not bold enough to tell you that, "Sister, come here. You are beautiful. I want to marry you." 90% of them, if at all they are religious and they are shy, they might not take the direct approach. Yeah? And Islam has that. Yeah? There is the direct and indirect approach. Please, you consider that. Secondly, the Islamic communication style is independently encouraged, free from blindly being affected by emotions. As you communicate with your partner, it has nothing to do with your emotions. And this is where we lose it from. Just because someone has confessed that they love you, and maybe you love them back, you're off the hook because of them, it's okay. you turn out to let your emotions dictate the way you're going to communicate. Come on, if you were there in our first episode, we were like, you have a task of analyzing whatever you're feeling for your partner, love as a foundation. If at all you skip that stage, that means the emotions you're having, most especially for the ladies, the emotions you're having, they are going to dictate the way you're going to speak to your partner. I think it's making sense because you normally feel like you want to speak to them in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, even at night, the following day. You need to spend the whole day with them. Yeah, those are emotions. Come on. No one is going to get to marriage and you need to spend the whole time discussing and talking like that. So the Islamic stand is you have to be courageous enough to realize that the emotions are there. I'm interested in this someone. I love them. I love them. I truly love them. But let my communication be controlled too. And that's why you don't even speak vulgar with whoever you're dating. You don't disrespect yourself with whoever you're dating. You don't speak bad words with whoever you're dating. Because you have a chance. So if you try out with something like 3 girls, you're openly discussing to them, how I wish, just imagine I'm there. Just imagine we are doing this. Now you're in on the second one. The third one. And these ladies now, they are there. But the first one, you get at night, 12 a.m. and the second one too, the third one too, the fourth one too, no walk. And then we are like, come on. You're letting your emotions control you. You're having brains. And Islam is like, no. You have to be in control of your emotions. Even when you're communicating with whoever you feel you love. And that's why, even when you're dating, I want to emphasize this. When you're dating, that's when the emotions are just very too high. And that's why some of the married people always tend to say that as they are dating, they feel loved. But after marriage, they don't feel loved. Isn't it? Reason being, people are falling victims as they are dating. They are just like dancing to the tunes of their emotions. That's what they're supposed to do anyway. After marriage, you now switch to maturity. The emotions are no longer like they used to be. And that's a fact. It won't stay the same. Because you're married now. After marriage, you need to think of some other stuff. You won't be calling your partner, your spouse, just like you used to call them as you're dating. So Islam is like, before you get to that drama of being like controlled with your emotions, please consider that even when you're speaking, communicating to your partner. Thirdly, as you communicate, always remember that you are still strangers. Not until they put a ring on your finger. And not until they accept you in her, maybe at their home. As you're communicating, people are being disrespected one just because they don't limit what they are saying out. Moto ya chali stranger. Of course, if you're dating Islamically, we don't expect you to hug, we don't expect you to kiss, we don't expect you to cuddle, we don't expect you to blah, 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 blah. So of course, even the conversations that are in line with whatever you're not supposed to do, you try to limit them because they are going to drive you to that blah. So Islamically, it's like you are strangers. Even when this guy is just too wade, these whole lines are there. They are just fitting at the same right period of time. Please, they are still strangers. Always have that possibility. It means but it might not work out. And you don't want to stay with that damage psychologically. And you want now respect from someone who you have already openly communicated with. Why do you even start now talking about your properties in the second day after you confessing the love to the guy? I love you today. This following day, you're coming with the land titles, showing the girl the land titles. You know, you just my wife material. It's okay. Now you see these land titles. But Jesus says now, you have to be in control when you're communicating. You are still strangers. Not until nikah is done and then they are part of your life. You basically discuss what they are supposed to know, what they need to know. Anything that is besides that, please remember that you are still strangers. Islam encourages the couple limitedly consider their phrasing that express their feelings not to exceed the Sharia boundaries. Yes. When you're trying to nayo bamba bileko obusiramu n'engeri gibulaini obumu obuli mu busiramu buno because abazungu bano batuliddeko show. Islam, even when you're going to compliment your wife, or maybe you're going to compliment your potential husband, you make sure chonna chonna chowana it's in the boundaries of Islamic law. So of course they're giving you a leeway, a window, and you're like, you can give a compliment to your potential wife and potential husband. You don't demand for the compliment. You just be there and kusanga. So if someone is not complimenting you, maybe you don't deserve it. That's it. So Islam is like, no, you don't have to exceed the boundaries, Islamic law boundaries. One day Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his wife Aisha asked him that, oh my husband, Rasulullah, how is your love? Like, how is my love within you? How much do you love me? Nambako, how much do you love me? قال النبي لعائشة رضي الله عنها حبي لك كعقدة حبل. Prophet was like, my love for you, Aisha, is just like a knot in a rope. Lutuufolo, like ekifundikwa n'okwata omuguwa and you're like, you tighten it. Ekyosibe bakiyita batya mu luzungu? Knot, ekigazi kituufu kyenjogedde kyekyo. Kati Prophet was like, my wife, the love I have for you is just like that knot. Just like you see a knot on a rope. And then Aisha was perplexed now, confused. What is the relationship between this rope and love? And then Prophet was like, come on, don't lose it. The energy you need to ease the knot on the rope, that's the energy. Anyone that wants to draw my love of you, the energy they have to apply. How sweet is that? Nenga mulinga batakategedde. Olaba temusesewe temukategedde bantu mmwe. Era njogere mu Luganda, kankogere mu Luganda musaaga. Ekifundikwa, mmanye ekifundikwa. Aisha anyumiza ninga mba muswaziza. Ne mutakategeera mu Luzungu. Aisha abuuza bawe nabbi and like onjagala otya mukwano gwa enguli gutya. Nabbi n'amugamba nkwagala ng'ekifundikwa mukyala wange. Aisha ne bimukyanga kifundikwa n'omukwano bikwataganira watobanga onvuma. Nabbi kwe kumutegeeza ti amaanyi ago g'olabanga ekifundikwa mukimanyi kiba kinywedde. Amaanyi ago g'oteeka ku kifundikwa ekyo ekinywedde okukisumulula oyinza n'okunyiiga n'otuuka guba mugaati kaveera ka mugaati oyuza buyuzaawo nga tofuddeeko byakukola ki byakasumulula kubanga kaba kakoze eki. Kati nabbi ng'alinga agamba Aisha nti mukyala wange engeri gye nkwagalamu omuntu yenna ayagala okunzijjako omukwano ogwo amaanyi g'alina okuteekamu kwe kudaaga okwo kwadaaga ng'asumulula ekifundiko ekyo. Era kigambibwa nti whenever Aisha was trying to bypass the Prophet after getting to know that, ng'amubuuza akagambo nti wataqulu lahu kaifa halu al-uqda, my husband, kimanyi wanyizenyizeemu amabega kaawo naye kati ekifundiko kiri kitya. kisumulukuka oba kikyalinga bwe kiri. And then the prophet is like, here kama here, kikyalinga bwe kiri tekinaana kusekola ki nakusenguka. Those are love, like olabira ddala nga omukwano weeguli tawemudde. So now what makes you think that for someone to show that they love you, they have to be too vulgar? Mwana gwe nkwagala, I want to be too vulgar munansonyiwa naye namwe mumanyi kyenjogerako. Someone is a guy and they are talking to you. So Muslima, you're convinced nti alina kuwe mulamu awo ekiro omatire nti omwana ono alina omukwano. The same applies with the girl now. Alina kuwe mulamu awo ayogeremu awo akagambo kootategeera omubuuze kategeeza ki nti kategeeza ABCD when we are there. Omanye nti omwana ono alina omukwano. No. Islam is like nedda. Oyambazaako even when you're already married. There is no space for using vulgar language. Obankaddeemu okuwemula. It's not a place before and even after marriage. Naye naawe nga bw'oba weetaaga dduwa nga gwe omukwano gwo ogulagira mu kuwemula. You have to at least be creative enough okuba nga osobola okuyiiya ku bintu nga bino. Obugambo nabbi bw'atyo no bwe yayiiya. Naawe yiiyaayo mu ango yo osobola okuba nga okakozesa. Saba Allah abeere nga atuwa entegeera eyo. I wanted to give those points as an introduction before we start breaking down the reason as to why I'm here. Personally, I believe just because many of us don't know how we can effectively communicate with our partners as we are dating, having marriage as a goal, it's a reason for us ending whatever we are in. Or maybe we are losing track to find better spouses, better partners, just because of our bad, effective communication. Point number 1, time for communication. As you are dating with your fellow, with your potential wife, with your potential husband, the effective communication I'm trying to refer to is, are you intervening in other schedules as you're speaking to them or not? You are the job. You have a job, for example. You want to hide with the phone. You know very well, when you are at work, you don't speak on phone. And now, just because you're fresh in love, you're just at the office. How are you? Are you fine? I'm fine, sweetheart. Relax. You relax for 10 minutes. You text again and you call again. Not until you lose the job. So Islam is here to guide you. If you're in control and whoever you claim you love, please manage the time you communicate to them. And I think it's a factor with the ladies. They normally say, you don't give them time, probably. Maybe, at times. And the reason is, she knows you're working. You're not an angel. She knows you're a teacher. You have to see them sleep late at night, and in the morning you have to wake up. And she also needs 3 hours to talk. So I want you to imagine that couple with all that arrogance, who might be being ignorant, and they are like, okay, this guy doesn't love me because how dare you spend like 5 hours without checking on me? They don't love me. Let me check for someone else. Just because he's fixed, and Islam is like, please understand that. Don't be too shallow not to understand that. The same applies with the girl. Omwana wa bende akola mu State House. Bw'oba bayingira, simanyi bannayinja sijjogera bwogezi temunsiba. Bw'oba bayingira, bayinza obba bagamba nti amasimu mukali. For security purposes, amasimu mukakole ki? Mugaleka. N'onyiigawo. Omwana omukirabika takwagala. Olw'okuba omukubira leero takwata. N'okubira ko takwata. Naye nga yakugambye nti my boss doesn't want me always on. Bansaze n'emiliyoni yange emu olw'okuba ndi nnyo ku ssimu. Naye naawe lwaki totegeera? So Islam is like, time for communication is vital. Effective communication, I have to make it. Because what effective communication is, you speak and whoever is at the receiving end, they are ready to receive and comprehend what you're saying. I think the point is clear now. You don't let whatever you're having now to intervene. Your vital schedules, so it's as easy as discussing with your partner as you're trying to build marriage. 1 year, 2 years down the road, communication is still a problem. The second factor is the duration on the phone. The duration is obviously dictated if the above mentioned factors are considered. Njagala mumbozi yo with whoever you claim, your potential wife and your potential husband, the conversation you normally have, just remove the biology bit. Maybe take the biology bit. Remove the vulgarness, Musigazeo was serious, in line with what they are supposed to know about you. How are you going to talk for 10 hours? Yes, we're not backbiting. How are you going to talk for 3 hours? Talking what? When you're just off the phone, we give you a pen and paper, you're like you're at university. Our assumption is when you're here, your reasoning capacity is also different. Please list down some 3 factors you've discussed in line with your marriage. How dare you speak for 10 hours on a daily basis for a month? Even the guy doesn't know what he's supposed to take at your home as they're marrying you. You're speaking for 10 hours. What are you speaking? You're speaking for 10 hours on a daily basis. The guy that claims they want to marry you has never asked anything that is in line with the prerequisites that are in line with marrying you. Tamanye wamwe bawasabatya nenga munyumya 10 hours a day. Tamanye wamwe tata wo yetaga kwata atya munyumya 10 hours a day. And now after a year, after 2 years, setting a date, that's when you're now starting to discuss. Come on, Islam is like, no. Even when you're there, just dating, please, the communication has to be effective. And you're like, I need to marry you, I love you, now business. Mutambula mutya musage mwawo okusinga okwogera ng'ebyo mwogera tebirina impact gye bikola ki gye bireeta. The content discussed is also vital. For example, when you're discussing with someone you love and you expect to marry them, Wallahi al-Azim, even the content you're going to discuss is obviously considered. Recently, you have to learn someone, you have to know their personality, blah, blah, blah. How do they get mad? Blah, blah, blah. That story. When the communication is effective, you don't need a lot. You just need to hear a statement from what you call a potential husband, or maybe from what you call a potential wife, and you get to know that I'm dealing with a witch doctor from one statement. Just an example. The reasoning capacity. As you're discussing with your so-called potential wife to be, or maybe your potential husband, when did you dedicate a phone call you're giving them just to check their reasoning capacity? Have you puzzled them at times? Or how are they going to fix this? You're a lady at campus, you're going to get out with the first class. You don't know how it hurts. 1 + 1 × 2 + 1 / 3 kimuchanga. nange nno kinkyangidde zakyogedde naye ssebo people don't consider that and it's a factor. Nawe kennyini a husband kawasa, you don't want to get human copies from a lady who is not clever. She's going to spend most of the time with your kids. So Islam is just too real to that extent. As you're discussing with them, you have to have that as a goal. Omuntu ono gwenyumya naye ono bw'ayogera bw'atya magezi ng'agalinga amagabulamu ekyo nga ofuna w'omuteeka. If you're not ready to welcome their level of understanding, it is okay. Tewetaaga na bategeeza. Kyusa channel. As simple as that. Do you know how we are fixing some drama here? Is it happening on bufumbo bw'abantu kati? Maybe when you're here and you're married, ye tabu kati gyoliko, ye tabu gyoliko. Kagambo katono, one simple statement, bawo nakafuna bulala nnyo nti omumanyidde. Naye nga naawe ate oli ku kirala nnyo si kyotegeeza. Naye nga mwali mwogera eddakiika 6 n'eswala ne bakima noga nkamala okusala nkomewo pamwe eddakiika 7 and then you pray noddayo you resume ne mwogera ebbanga eryo lyonna. And what are you discussing if you're not discussing this? So Islam is like nedda bambi. If you plan to date Islamically, you have to consider that too. Omuntu mutuuze tewetaaga na mutuuza nti nkugezesa otegeera otya. Wetaaga mubuuza mboozi za bulijjo ne munyumyanyumyamu wano ogenda otegeera their reasoning capacity. As you're effectively discussing with them, you're to realize their social being. Socially, how are they? If you're dealing with a guy ngati mu bibiri akolima baganda be, that's the sign. And you're busy saying, after all, they're not cursing me, it's fine. For me, he loves me. He loves you. If he's cursing baganda, sisters, as you're discussing, as you're talking for 10 hours, kiki ekikumatiza nnyabo okujjako nga mukwano gwe gukubuutikidde nti lumu tajja kukasinga gwe. So Islam is like even the social being. You're moving with someone, the so-called potential husband, Islamically, of course, with the third party included. Nimusanga twashogerako waneno. Nimusanga akana akasaba a beggar on the street. And all you're reading from their behavior is immorality, is being disrespectful to them, and you claim you have a husband. Yagendo kuwasa ne date mwajibukinze. What red flag are you waiting for if that is there? So Islam is like, even when you're effectively communicating with someone, these should be the goals. Check their reasoning capacity. Because we have that as a principle in Islam. When someone is silent, they are respected. It's after they speak that you realize in tategeera. True or false? Sebo kati naba tategeera nno kati baakayize. Nti wabanga omulumbaganyi n'omukola ekikyamu olw'okuba akimanyi nti bw'osirika oba mugezi ng'asirikawo. True or false? Silent. Akimanyi nti oba w'osirika oba mugezi. Why don't you use that? You're spending a year and 2 years with someone. Oyagala kuŋŋamba nti tosobola na kumuassessinga how they reason. Entegeera yaabwe eri etya. You can't even assess any factor in their social being. And you claim you're dating effectively. Otuswaza bw'olitomera gw'olimanya ky'olitugamba. The other aspect, how their time is spent, is vital. As you're discussing with someone. Now you're with a lady, you're looking for a wife. This lady, now you're like, Obanga, it's also lovely for a guy to ask a girl, and you're like, sweetheart, take me through your day, please. How did you spend your day? Now you start hearing this girl. Sweetheart, I woke up in the morning. I prayed Fajr, Alhamdulillah, MashaAllah. And after Fajr, I went for ice cream with my friends for some 3 hours. Morning, for some 3 hours. After ice cream, I realized there is my friend I had like taken long without seeing. So I was like, I need to pay a visit, not in the program. I need to pay a visit to her. Then they go to their friend. As they are coming back from their friend, they meet another friend, OG, from some school now, and this OG gives a deal. Hey, where are you going? And man, I don't have a plan. I'm just going back to the hostel. Oh, come on. We're having a party, birthday party, and shower. Join us. Sweetheart, I went because I wanted to go and see the shower. Sweetheart, you're also waiting for a khutbah, for someone to tell you that you have a lot to do on this lady. Someone who you think is going to be a wife material. And that's the discussion. Nkede, kunywa ice cream, every weekend I go and put on a bikini. You know, don't judge me because I put on a bikini when I'm on swimming pool, and it's of course I know it's bad, but I'm changing slowly. Inshallah, I will change. And you're discussing. It's ringing a bell. So Islam is like, all you're supposed to focus on is trying to find all these factors that may turn out making your marriage hell if at all you call them off as you're dating. You know what Jabir did? Radiyallahu anhu, when he was going to get to marry, he married an old lady. And when he went to the Prophet was like, oh, you already married? Yes. Jabir was like, yes, I'm married. So the Prophet was like, did you marry a virgin or you married an old lady? Jabir was like, I married an old lady. So Prophet was like, why? How I wish you considered marrying a virgin. Jabir was bold enough to say to the Prophet, and he was like, Ya Rasulallah, my parents, father and mother, are no more, and I'm having many of my siblings. I can't take myself to a virgin, a young girl, because I know maybe she knows nothing in line with nurturing and bringing up these young brothers and sisters of mine. So I considered finding this old lady. We had a discussion. I knew she's a mother type. She had already given birth. And if I make her my wife, she's going to help me nurture and bring up my siblings. Prophet was like, that's a nice deal. Come on, go on. Yeah, that's how vital the effective communication is. Namely, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And then you've never even discussed how is your nikah going to be, how do you need it, what are the requirements for this man now to start in the first year to make some savings in order to marry you. Now in the third year, they have to write a full list of everything, even your gomesi and your suitcase that is going to have your clothes and so on. Please help me because I'm going to marry. But you've been with this guy 5 years and they are working. And there is the traditional inclination. As you're trying to talk, effectively communicate with your partner, try at times to read those traditional inclinations. Ask them once in a while. Tell them that, my wife, I want you, like after you're done giving birth, I feel like you should give our son or maybe daughter that chogero to drink after bathing him or her. And then if this girl is like, oh, actually, my grandmother told me that I should give him a chogero. Actually, I can also give you that same chogero for you to love this son and daughter of yours a lot. Ngomanya. Ntikati akoze echi? Ati unize. So you don't have to kulangira them. You're like, oh, thank you very much. Wa barakallahu fikum. Because you've noticed that. The same applies with you. Do you want a traditional guy? Agenda kusabula emigo kumachawo ne mutundu wao n'olwegulo. Of course it's not Islamic. And you're busy with the guy now discussing. Naye nga weyazivaako mu dakiika 2 ensiri just emulumye wano ne yeekuba olulyo olunene n'anyiiga n'ava mu mbeera and they're like, I won't even go where I'm going. How dare this mosquito bites me? Oh, mulwadde musiraamu. You're dealing with the cycle now. Naye sebo ni weegumya and you're like, oh, come on. Baba naye katensire mulumidde ki. Lwali kuba. Lwolitegeera nti that was a sign. And I'm talking of the effective communication. You're with a girl here, you're dating. Of course, when you're dating, you're looking for a wife material. No, gezako mugamba nti naye nze ndabanga mu ndaba eyange. Tewandi omukyala teyandirudde nnyo bweru ne waba ava ku mulimu at least essaawa 3 abeere ng'akoze eki. Kugamba neeraliikiridde. And then this girl is like, nkulaba ojjirira. I know where you're heading now. You want to stop me to work. My friend, you won't manage me because me when I'm at work, you won't tell me to come back when I have a big load, much load at work to consider. Atenzire kugwa saawa 3. Sisobodde. And then the following day, nofuna n'amaanyi agamukubira. How are you, sweetheart? Olumala awo ng'obufumbo buganye, you look for sheikhs now and you're like, my wife is not understanding. Where were you to read that as you're dating them? That's when you're going to consider that. Nomulabira wonchi wa mutwe munene, and you're like, tojja kumalako. Paka walifuna oba oli wa mutwe munene munene. Obufumbo bukole ki? Butambule. And that's how effective communication works. You have to use the effective communication to learn the psychology of your partner. A guy who is rich, a guy who is having a lot on their table, big fish to deal with, will not give you the same time like a guy who doesn't. Is it too hard to understand that when you're at campus, all you have is coursework, all you have is lectures, all you have is that business? Is it too hard for you to understand that after campus, you both have to now get established? If someone is like, please, yes, I know I used to call you in the morning and evening, even late night, I used to call you, but I can't anymore. If I give you a call today in the morning, please understand. That's the effective communication. And if at all they are not ready, then maybe you're not with a partner. Because like it or not, everyone individually, they have their own schedules. And that's when you get to consolations like, as motivational speakers, what call it justice. If someone loves you, they will definitely fix time for you. Now when I'm here and I'm teaching you, and my wife calls now, mukwate, mugambe sweetheart, nsonyiwamu ndi wane makerere, mujeko. I only have to inform her and I'm like, sweetheart, I'm teaching for an hour or maybe 2 hours. So please, don't call me during that time. Period. Na kitegeera no. Nga sigenda kwewozaako nti banayo nansonyiwa mbadde ndi eyo nga ndi mu kusonyiwa kale babuuziza n'ebibuuzo bingi naye kale onansonyiyirayo keeyongeddemu eyo stress mba mumaze naye se waliwo semakaali wano aludde mu pepa ayina munne wano pepa emututte 3 hours just because they told you that pepa eno nyangu, I'm going to do it 2.5 hours and I'm going to call you after 2.5 hours. So you need him to also explain lwaki oluddeyo muki mu paper era mumuli muzannyo mwe. Maybe these series are going to help us. Buli omu ategeera naali mu katemba naali mu bintu ebyamazima kati. If someone is a vice chancellor, yes, for example, a rector, you really think the time they have is the time of omuntu wa bulijjo avuga boda? Is that too hard to understand? If your wife is a doctor, surgeon, amadwaliro 3 beekakasa ye waba taliiwo abantu waakiri bafe, is it too hard to understand nti bw'oba bamukubidde essimu ekiro gwe nga bbaawe yamuwasanga okimanyi nti dokita tekirina nakunyiiza muvuge buvuzi omutwale ku ddwaliro abaage abantu omale omuzza ewaka, period. Now, how do you even skip that? As you're dating, you're busy asking, what course are you doing? I'm doing medicine. What course are you doing? I'm doing education. Oli musomesa ye musawo. You're going for a trip now with your students. naye atandika otukubira kerere bawange tampa budde bageze mu field waka bamaze ennaku 3 nkimanyi alina abakyala bagenze okulabayo. You're not learning the psychology of your partner. Because everyone, like it, everyone, individually, balina ebizibu byabwe and they have their own schedules. Yensonga lwaki ne lecture ng'eno tugamba nti ekinene ennyo kasaabula kaffe kamu tuve wano tugende. Kubanga abantu balina ebyokukola ki? Ebyokukola. But it's not too hard to understand. So Allah abeere ng'atuwa entegeera eyo. Obudde buntwaliza, that's why I'm rushing. Try your best to keep effective communication between yourselves in play. Please, kale ubanga ebyamayiga byonna obyerabidde kano tukeerabira. Don't be a reason, don't be a barrier for the effective communication not to be normal between you and your partner. A simple example, a valid one. Whoever invented the phone, tumubanja agende buli wantu ne koosi y'okukozesa amasimu. Oba tukigezeseemu wano eno. What does a missed call mean? Please. What does a missed call mean? If you miss a call, what does it mean? That one to the speed. To the caller and to the receiver. What does a missed call mean? To the receiver, I'm busy. No. I'm busy. There is an option of the red button. Busy. Nimukate nokatya. Wati yojeka nevuga. Kuba wona nyiga busy. Olutalo lulala. How dare you make me busy? Nengo oli busy woli. Now my point here is, please don't be a barrier ever in your effective communication with your partner. If you're a wife, do you really need to call 10 times? 10 times. Ngokubira the so-called potential husband of yours, agenda okuwasa. And after him calling you back, 10 times, remember. And he's like, please, I found 10 missed calls. Is everything okay? And you're like, yes, I just wanted to check on you. 10 times. The next day when you're going to be in an emergency, the 10 missed calls will not be a deal to him. Because he will be like, ono wa bulijjo, mirundi gye atandikira mu 10 kugenda wa? Kumbe oli mu kwefiira. So the effective communication is, please, even when you're using the phone, si ku bakyala bokka, even you the guy, you're calling 10 times, toyina gw'olika, teri muwadde, 10 times. Ate kisinga n'okuncanganza omutwe, 10 times in 2 minutes. Nakubamu bwati, najjako. Nakubamu bwati, ngalinga gamba nti kale azisangeko nga nnyingi kimuggwemu. Kati nnyabo, era mutusaasiranga nnyo ffe ababeera mu issues z'abantu abo abafumbo. Abantu balinaga issues gabe mu communication and it is built over time. Tojja kumunenya. Everyone omukakasa, in your phone, you have people you prioritize. If you only find 1 missed call of them, you know there is sense and you will immediately call them back. True or false? And wallahi al-azim, you have that one number. Ngani wakuba emirundi 2. Ng'olina ky'oliko, you're like, kankimalirize, I will get back to them. True or false? You don't want your wife to be in those people. You don't want your husband to consider you like that. And you don't want your wife to consider you amongst those people. Abakuba essimu nga akimanyi bumanya obugenda mumalira budde. And that's why I was like, communication effectively has nothing to do with emotions. Okuba ennyo amasimu tekitegeeza nti onjagala nnyo. After all, n'omuntu afeera asobola okukikola. But if you handle that wrongly, oyagala toyagala, ojja kutuuka akaseera nga your kid is sick, kibwatukira, baawa yalina emmotoka, taliiwo, naye olw'okuba wamumanyiiza missed calls 2. Yajja gamba nti kano kasweet kange kali mu kunkubira missed calls 2. Kajja kungamba nti kanjagala bwagazi, nja kukaddira. Kumbe ofa. But if you train someone that you call once, that's the discipline. nali responsible wasanko missed call addamu n'akukubira obadde ogamba ki. That's it. And that's the effective communication. I believe that's the only reason as to why the communication isn't effective. Nadala ku by'amasimu. Paka nyakubuuza, amasimu gatta amaka. Yes, that's how gatta amaka. Like that. Kizibu nnyo okusanga omusa. Batono nnyo. Ate nange ndi batono abannaye. Batono nnyo. Bosanga. Nga prioritizinga. Nga bw'alaba essimu ya mukyala we bw'ati. Miss calls isatu amanya something is wrong. Tasobola kunkubira mirundi gino esatu nga sikwata. Okujjawo nga waliwo issue. Niwabeera mu meeting agifuluma. Koza akimanyi something is wrong. Nakuba n'adiringa naawe. Musajja wattu ali mu kyeyalinga meeting. My workers salary teriiwo. Mpuliranga munsusseeko. 10 missed calls zivuga wano. Bw'afuluma ebweru, excuse me a little bit. N'afuluma ebweru. I just wanted to check on you. I love you so much. 10 missed calls. Si kibi, otusiza message nti you love him. Trust me the following day. The other day, ajja kukimanyanga nti bwotyo bw'oli. Call once. Obanga oyagala mugamba nti omwagala, send a message. Teweeraliikirira njagadde kugamba nti nkwagala. Kiggwe, oteeke wansi. Naye mumazeemu essimu omugaso. Oba nnemba. That is it. Just imagine everyone. Ne dating one, for example. Olaba amasimu bwe gatagenda bawula mu maaso eyo. Sababa abeere ng'atuwa entegeera eyo. If your father calls you, if you find a missed call of your father, what happens? Oyagala kwetonda, taata sonyiwa busonyi. Mbadde wano nga binkuttemu ebadde mu silent. Niwoba obadde ogigulira. Bamama ne mubazannyirako kubanga mama mukyala wattu yali emotional. Olwokuba awuliddeyo amasasi mu kibuga mbeera like mutabani wange nakukubira esooka eyokubiri eyokusatu eyokuna. Omuntu ali responsible naawe otegeera nti kati maama akubye awulidde essasi mu kibuga mukwate omugambe ndi fine teweeraliikirira. Please, I want to wind today's session that tunagenda mu bibuuzo. Effective communication has nothing to do with your emotions. Just because you text a lot your partner doesn't mean your marriage will work out. And just because you don't talk a lot on phone doesn't mean temujja working out. For your information, your grandmother and your forefathers tebalina naka WhatsApp ako. Bali bantu bakagere. Nga batambula. Nga akimanyi ngenda kulaba muntu wange. But they understood the effective communication. Naye wano buli kimu tukirina. Email, WhatsApp, buli wamu ekiri. Naye omuntu n'omukubira ku namba yennyini. Phone call, 10 missed calls. On WhatsApp, 10 missed calls. Voice notes, please. Why not picking? Now, ku email, no emailing. I know something is wrong. Why don't you pick me? 20 missed calls. Something is... Please forgive me. Just in 10 minutes. Nga yeetonze dda. Waba bali obuzibu nsonyiwa. Nga kati gwabiyitamu olwo. Look, what's the problem? Kati olina omukubira omugambe nti please onansonyiwa. Just mbadde mukko busy. Please. Wabanga oli wana at least nga tugenda ffenna mu series zino eza marriage. Katemba w'essimu tumale wano olwaleero. And today's episode has been on effective communication. How do you communicate with your partner? Akasembyeyo awo kabadde kakulu. Please. Sina kuba baba mmwe bokka. Even to your friends. You don't want to be a friend. Gwe bakubira ku last moment nga abantu bali busy. Okukanya kubira banonga gwokibayi tokubirako ku muntu ng'olina kyamagezi ky'omugamba. Kati niwo nabeera mu mitawaana. They won't prioritize you. Osaaga. Buli muntu nkakasa nti everyone ku simu yo. You have someone you prioritizing nga newakubira essaawa zino oti. Newoba onyomeddwa nnyo wano. Bw'ofulumaawo n'omugamba ogamba ote wamma. Waliwo ekitambula. Ng'era w'omulina. Nga newakubira kati wano. Ogireka. Mpaka wova waneeno. Aye n'otamukubirawo immediately. N'omujjukira luvannyuma nnyo. So at least let's try to utilize the functions of the phone. Tumanye missed call kitegeeza ki, bwe zibeera nnyingi, omuntu amanye nti asuubirayo kubika. Omuntu amanye nti omuntu wakufuula busy. That's not a problem bannange. It's not a problem. Munno mumanyiize. Nti bw'onkubiranga ne nkufuula busy, option ey'okubiri, sindikamu ka message awo. Sindikamu ka message. Tebakubira nku ku simu ng'oli mu swala ng'eri mu loud. n'opipirapipira n'ogituka kumba omufudde busy olwo lutalo kati olina okunnyonnyola munno how dare you make me busy kugamba tekimuluma kubanga tomukutte naye kimuluma okubanga omufudde busy because they think kati tokyabaagala. Tusaba Allah buli abakola amasimu bano batandika otusomesa engeri gyetugakozesaamu. I believe if the communication is effective, respectful, buli omuntu agenda funa partner we amugwana. Buli muntu agenda funa omuntu amugwana. Because mukwogera kuno kwokka you're going to realize how sweet someone is, how nice they are, and so on and so forth. And it's in the effective communication that you realize nti abantu bano babi nnyo oba bakyamu oba beekaza oba. Ate by the end, ekimanyi batukwogeddeko. Communication erina okubeera mu boundaries z'obusiraamu between a guy and a girl, even when you're not dating. Bwe nojera omwana wa bendi wano notandika okusimbula emboozi n'asekamu bulungi olaga olina amannya amalungi n'agabikka ng'ate woobisse bulungi wadde bulala omunoonyi ono n'abanga atambula akuviire ekyo nakyo n'okimwogerako nti bannange olina engeri gy'okoze otya owaba si bwoti bulina okukikola naawe otuswaza. The same applies with the girl. Omwana ali wano eno alina ekifuba kye nojja okimuwanamu awo nga kiri bweru n'akibikka nogamba nti ate bw'okibisse olabise nga gentleman bambi beeranga bwotyo omanya nti okola ki owaba. So it has to be limited. It has to be limited. Kubanga yagala gaana whenever you stand with that lady ng'oyagadde emboozi ewabe eyanguwa yawabye dda yeetaga just kasmairo we kati gwe osumulula ate bwekimuganga naye yayonooneka nga mutandikira awo ng'osese nsese ntya wamma osese bulungi nno bwoti kati oba obeera otya ng'oseka eri we mutwe mutandika mpola mpola bwotyo mpaka nga mwena mugweddemu ensa. Saba Allah abeere nga atuwa entegeere.
To what extent should we be patient with their imperfections, like being a traditionalist or time wasters? Because I think they need a chance to change with time.
Yeah. They need a chance to change with time, but we are not here to train you how to give them a chance to change in time. You give them a chance on your own. Yeah. Si tubatendeka okuba abantu babi. Yeah. This is the last one. Tubatendeka kubeera abantu babi. But if someone is, whatever we mention here is in line with guiding you. So if someone is doing whatever we are discussing here, and you're like, no, they will change. Let me give them a chance. It is okay, you give them a chance. It's fine. We are not stopping you from giving them a chance because people change from day to day. Yeah, but it's better to get factors to stick on before marriage than you get consolation fields that are going to take you within marriage with the faults you already knew. Yeah? So that's why we normally have this series. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to the best. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide whoever is single here to target the rightful partner. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us practice effective communication with our partners. Yeah, chikwasa ensonyi to spend 2 years, 3 years you're dating. Naye nga temunyumyangako ewaabwe baagala ki binaatambula bitya gwa mahale gugali ameka nga tandikeko kati kugasonda olinze wali ku mwaka guli ogusemba ng'ogenda kuwasa osooka oyiwaawo programu nga tolinamu n'ekikumi bw'oyagala naawe kuwasa kati odatinga wano odatingira ki. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that understanding. Allahumma ameen. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. Thank you for coming in large numbers today. Until we meet again on Monday. Mbadde mbasukwa n'abantu mmwe. Tubako kalinda bamu faces kale mpya. Mulimu abapya ndowooza. Saba Allah abapya abazze wano mubeere nga namwe muteeba abantu abatuufu temutomera mubuuze kuba n'abakadde bababuulire bye twakola ki bye twadisikasinga. Wa barakallahu fikum.